So here we are again by the embankment of the Dnipro in the daylight this time. And doesn't it look magnificent? It really does. And this is rather lovely, very pleasant. I liked it. I'm loving Dnipro. I'm going to put these on because the sun's in my face. But I was kind of reading some of the reviews, trying to quickly read some of the reviews, and there's this one plonker. His name kept coming up on against different attractions, and now he was American. I'm not holding that against all Americans. He just happened to be American. And you know what? I'm going to name him Larry. Larry, you're a plonker. Everything just seemed to be so dismissive. It was like about the missiles. It was like, guys, they're just missiles. But the park behind it is really nice. Some just more contrived crap like that. But then it's just something general about Dnipro. It's like, guys, relax. It's not a tourist city. And then he just goes off on some other obnoxious diatribe. But you know what, Larry? This city isn't for you. It's not designed for tourists. They're probably glad there's no Larrys wandering around. This is a lovely city for people to live in. It's a very livable city to live, to socialize, to work, to raise a family. I can see why people are just content to be here and just live and be in peace. And it's a beautiful city. And the fact that it's not a tourist city, well, good. I don't think they're that bothered. As I said, they're probably even more relieved that there's going to be less Larrys around to annoy the crap out of them. So, Larry, go do one. Dnipro is lovely, very chilled, very relaxed. Granted, no, it's not a destination city as a tourist city, but, you know, as a place to live. You could do far, far worse. So Larry, shut up, ya! Okay, I'm after receiving an air raid alert. So, I'm just after... So literally my phone just binged. Oh yeah, and there's the air raid siren there now. Okay, so there's an air raid siren, and we're just after receiving this Ukraine air raid alert. If you're in an area where the government of Ukraine has issued an air raid or artillery alert, you may get a notification when the air raid alert is issued, and another notification when it's cancelled. So I literally just got this, it just came in, my phone started binging, I went, what the fuck is that? And clicked on it, and that's what it said. And now, you can hear the air raid alarm outside. So what the hell do I do? Supposed to be checking out in 15 minutes. Might have to ask the woman at reception. That's the one that banged on my door, she knows I'm here. So, they do send apps, send notifications to your phone. Alright, I'll try and work this out, come back to you later, bye bye. Good old Soviet trolley tram thing. Okay, so what I'm rushing off to is the Battle of Dnipro diorama. I always thought dioramas were tiny little things, but maybe it's just a big display. I'm parked over there. I saw other cars parked up there. I don't know if I need a ticket or anything like that. I'm not too sure. Now, is this the Battle of Dnipro diorama? I'm going to start talking to myself. You know what? Probably have to take out my phone and just have a look and see where the hell I am. It's probably the best thing to do. Okay, bye-bye. All right, I'm going to stop talking now. I'll just wander around and... You know what? I'll probably do a voiceover on this. I'll probably look it up on Wikipedia and I'll talk about the history and what actually it all is. Okay, so let's concentrate on the visuals. So quite annoyingly, there actually isn't a huge amount online in regards to this expedition.
or as they call it, an exposition on the roads of the Donbass. Basically, it is on the site of a war museum, a war history museum, which stretches back to before the Second World War. But this latest episode is in regards, or is in particular, to the war in East Ukraine. If you're looking at it, you can refer back to February 2014, when pro-Russian militia seized government buildings in Crimea, where they raised the Russian flag, because they loved our Putin. So this exhibition itself is filled with actual artifacts from the war in eastern Ukraine, which, although you could regard it as a war in itself, there were several peace agreements, the Minsk agreements, which were made and then broken. Effectively, in reality, you can just regard it as part one, or the beginning of what we have now in Ukraine in heading into 2024. So these are real artifacts brought from the front line and here now to try and give an outline of what the Ukrainian forces went through in eastern Ukraine. Looking back now, I'll be honest, I didn't pay a huge amount of attention to it. I think I've said this before, and I think most of us wouldn't have thought too much about it, regarding it as maybe not much more than a regional conflict in an area that we don't really know a huge amount, or most of us didn't know a huge amount. This clearly changed a lot after Russia annexed Crimea, but even in particular, I think what sticks out now, reading back on it, and I'm embarrassed to say I didn't give it a huge amount of credence back then, but we're looking back to when the Malaysia Airlines flight, MH17, which was all over the news at the time, was shot down with the loss of 298 lives. So this was in eastern Ukraine, shot down by Russian-supported militants. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, as they say. As we head into 2024, nearly 10 years since the Malaysian Airlines flight was shot down. This conflict has continued since and just elevated to where we are now. So I'm actually going to put up a link to a very good paper that was produced by the UK Parliament, showing a timeline of the Ukrainian war, Ukrainian conflict. I don't really want it's hard to kind of think of a word to say, a term to give it now, that it has evolved so much since the Euromaidan protests in Kiev in the end of 2013, and we'll come to that when I get to Kiev. It has just evolved and grown and twisted and turned. So I'm going to put the link up here for your own benefit and interest. But as I edit this now, way overdue, on the 30th of December 2023, 2 months after I was in Dnipro, the biggest news of the day is that Ukraine has suffered the greatest barrage or attack of rockets and drones and missiles from Russia since the actual war started, or the counter war started 2 years ago. Pretty much every city that I went to, Odessa, Kiev, Kharkiv, Kherson, Dnipro, were hit last night in the last 24 hours. And Dnipro itself, as I edit this right now, sat in the comfort of my living room. More than 6 people were killed, more than 30 injured, as the Russians attacked a shopping centre and the maternity ward of a hospital. Literally last night, as I speak.
Just once again reminded of the needless death and destruction that this country has endured. It has undergone such a massive transformation in the last few decades, and especially in the last 10 years since the demonstrations in 2012, where the country wanted to lean more towards the EU and away from the Russian way of life, as in Putin way of life. And granted, now, with the benefit of hindsight, so many in the West are arguing that we should have done more in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. But I think back then the country had only started its transformation from the pre-Yanukovych era, which was very pro-Russian. And I don't think, this is only my own theory, I think back then nobody really saw Ukraine in any way European or you know, from a Western perspective. It still was living under that aura of being a former Soviet republic. I'm off to another museum which is hopefully a little bit more light-hearted. Anyway, I'm out of here. Chat to you in a bit. Bye-bye.